Good morning, a very good morning to you. Just make sure the microphone's, yeah, that's working. A treat. A good morning to you. Welcome to today's RC Coffee Chat. Now, what have we got in the lineup for you this morning? We've got 4 topics for discussion today. Number 1 is live from the flight line. That was absolutely brilliant. Topic number 2 is Shane and Heather's 60. That is really trippy. Topic number 3 was a weekend of scheduled landings on the form with previous weekends. That'll be a shout out to you. And topic number 4 for you this morning is a summary of the Maidens yesterday. So with that said, let me just get the right screen over here. And brilliant, Joe. Thanks for letting us know the audio is good. Really appreciate that. And by the way, those of you which are on the live versions, if you can let us know the audio is good right at the beginning, that would be fantastic, because I have been known to make the odd screw up from time to time. Right, let's get into topic number 1, which is live from the flight line. Now, we will get to Sean's video in a few moments' time. That is rather funny. But yesterday was just like a test day. We, as many of you knew, which joined in yesterday's RC Coffee Chat, it was going to be a flying day yesterday. And the weather looked absolutely fantastic. You'd have to tell me, well, you saw it on the flight line. It was absolutely brilliant. So what we tried is the normal stand, which I put the diversity receiver on, is that I stuck the iPad on there with a couple of elastic bands and broadcasted live from the flight line, and it worked out really well. I've been back and I've watched the episodes myself, and they came out really, really well. For considering it was an iPad and a 3G connection, I think it did absolutely fantastically well. Now, obviously, if you haven't seen these 3 episodes yet, I've put links to those in the video description in the show notes underneath this video, and it really is raw footage from the flight line, and I can tell you we had fantastic fun. And those of you which were able to join in live, I think that you enjoyed it too, and I personally enjoyed watching the live versions myself back here. And good morning to everybody who's on the live chat. We'll get to you in just a few moments time. So the first episode was the live from the flight line, not ragging nuts currently. And the reason why we were saying not ragging nuts currently, because it was only like 9 o'clock in the morning or something like that. And I'd been on the flight line since 7. Obviously, we need to be respectful to the neighbours and hold off most stuff until about 10 o'clock in the morning. And then we can really open up the throttles and stuff. And that was Craig. This was the first one was me just making sure that the iPad and the connection worked and whether you would join it, to be honest. And then we had Craig chucking his little glider around. Fantastic little model, that one. I am very jealous of that one because it always does really, really well in the sky. And then we were having a discussion about the phone which we had on the flight line to be flown that morning. Quick rundown. And again, you'll see this in the episode. We had the TravelerPlane. We had the EF Extra. I had quite a few line of sight. I didn't end up FPV in that one in the end. I just had a load of FPV flights with it, and it was absolutely just normal line of sight flights with it. And I'm really, really enjoying that line of sight as much as I enjoy it FPV. We had, I can't even work out what model that is. There is a model there. I wonder if I just press.
Good morning.
Oh, Tundra. I couldn't work it out from the black sheet there in the background. The Tundra, which I did FPV. We've got the F22. We'll get to these models a little bit later. The reactor, I went through 5 propellers with the reactor yesterday. Poor little model, took a right beating. Didn't break, but I did break 5 propellers. Always a good day. Then we had the flying wing. That is going to be worth of special mention later. Absolutely amazed by that wing. Really am super impressed with it. We've got the Flying Wings Hornet. Brilliant little model. I had to chuck around with that one. And then we've got the wings sticking out there of the Wing Z84. Basically, I carted, and I can tell you it was a 2 hands full and a bag full, 8 models across the flight line yesterday, and I flew them all. It was absolutely brilliant. So coming back onto the topic for the live versions, absolutely brilliant. Those of you which were able to join in live, Thank you ever so much for joining in live. And we ended up doing 3 live episodes yesterday because the first one worked out so well. So we've had the first one, which was earlier on. Then we had the Maiden. Now, I did make a screw up on this. Like I said, this was the first time I'd done anything live off the flight line. And when you're in the little YouTube app, you need to make sure that you choose public because it defaults to unlisted by default when you go to go live on the iPad. So unfortunately, that one was recorded. It was recorded live, but it wasn't unlisted. Oops. Apologies for that. I've learned for that. I've also learned an awful lot of other things from yesterday's events. That's why I came back home and watched them myself to make sure that I could pick up any like presenter tips and placement tips and things like that for you. So unfortunately, that one was not recorded live. It was recorded live, but didn't go out live. So when we did the third one, which actually went on for an hour and 20 minutes. And I know many of you sat there and watched the entire live event as well. So thank you ever so much for that. And it was just us mucking around on the flight line. And Craig is a cheeky mofo and really did try knocking us. I'm going to say us because you were stood there right next to me out with his £1.25 worth of model. Now, those of you which would like to see a summary of yesterday's flying, I have put a link in the video. I think I've put it in the video description. I know it's in the cards in the top right-hand corner of your screen to Craig's channel and also Craig's video. And it's like a summary of yesterday's flying, which Craig has been edited up. And yeah, it's really, really cool. So if you haven't already subscribed to Craig's channel, shameless plug, top right-hand corner, click on the eye icon and it will be there for you. So I'm just looking at your comments here in the background from Brad. Better than TV. There was quite a few comments on that one about it being better than the TV. Somebody had also switched from FPV Live as well, which I don't know which channel that is, but anyway, yeah, absolutely brilliant. I think it worked out super, super well. That is definitely something which we'll be doing again in the future. It's very simple for me to do. There were a lot of positive points in there. Give you like a little bit background in there. Yeah, it ate, so for however long I recorded for, it did eat 1.5 gigabytes worth of data. But like I said, we did broadcast for like almost 2 hours off the flight line, which was great. And a big one for me, it was raw, it was unedited, and that's just the way which I like it. I like unscripted video. I like with the Maidens. If you watch the 2 Maidens episode, that is completely unscripted. We just got 2 models which we got maidened, and you get our like reactions as it happens for the Maidens. So there was no post editing. What happened. You saw it happen as well. Maybe you weren't able to see some of the finer details, like the model trying to stall itself and how grossly tail heavy it was. But it was great to be able to share those experiences live with you on the flight line. I really did enjoy doing that live, and that is definitely something which I will be doing again in the future. So yeah, I really, really did like that, and I sincerely hope that you loved it as well. Yeah, go to 2499, but yeah, definitely better than TV. And by the way, you can see the comments above my head. And of course, if you are watching the recorded version of today's RC Coffee Chat, you can let me know what your thoughts were on yesterday's flying adventures, either on the episodes themselves, and there are links to those in the video description below. Just click the show more button. I've put all the links and notes for today's RC Coffee Chat down there, or you can let me know underneath this episode. So let's move on to my favourite section of them all, which is Shout Out Corner. This is where I get to say good morning to you. So with that said, let's scroll up to the top. And a very good morning to Turbo Tyler and to Brad. Good morning, Ruds. I know you've shot off to work. I'm sure you'll watch this in the recorded version. Lee Jai, good morning. Scrolling down, good morning, Joe. Good morning, dang this stupid password. Good morning. Did I miss someone there? No. Oh my God, Sparks. Good morning. Good morning, Lauren, as well. Anad, I think that's how you pronounce your name. Good morning. Phil, good morning. Raj, good morning. Riff, good morning. Brian, good morning. Alistair, good morning as well. Riff, good morning. Go2499, good morning as well. Sean, good morning. We will be taking a look at your video in a minute. That was rather funny, I must admit. That it was just the tone of your better half. That was exactly how my half would have put back. Yeah. Good morning, Peter. Good morning, Brutus the Ugly. Good morning, Philip. Good morning, Shane and Heather. We will be taking a look at your wing in a minute because that is really trippy. That's the next topic which we'll be looking at as well. Good morning, Stu Jade. Good morning, Flies Banham. Andy, good morning. Make sure I haven't missed anybody. I'm keeping this. Roderick, good morning. Good morning, Colin as well. Good morning, Lee. And scrolling down, I think I've been and caught everybody. And good morning, Mark, who's managed to catch us live as well. So let's get back to the main screen. And obviously, if I've missed your name, I do apologise. Don't take it personally. There's just a great big long list to go through, which is a fantastic issue to have. Right, so topic number 2 is, I believe, it's that tab there. So Shane and Heather, I'm sure many of you have met Shane and Heather in the interview which we had a short while ago. A fantastic couple based over in Texas in the United States of unfortunately crap weather at the moment. And this is Shane's 60, so that's a Team Legit 60. It's, I presume, a 60-inch wing. Well, you can get an idea on the size of it, because if you look down here at the bottom, there's the motor mount, and that motor mount looks rather small. And the more you look at it, the trippier it gets. So that's going to look very, very curious in the sky. So I'm personally going to be really interested when Shane and Heather, or when Shane gets this one up and flying, how it's going to come out on the camera, because that, like the red and the blue, it's like offset colors, like for like 3D when you've got the goggles on and stuff like that. So when you're in the cinema, so that's going to be really, really curious of what it's going to be like, what it's actually going to look like, and what it's going to come out on the camera. So really, really nice paint job there, Shane. That has come out super, super well indeed. Good morning, Jeff, as well, and good morning, Van. And again, I'll try and keep myself topped up with those of you which are joining us live this morning. Let's have a quick look what's going on in the chat. And I'm looking this way because that's where the chat is. So Shane and Heather says 60-inch wing, Dragon Link, 1.2 gigahertz video, and 6S power. Wow, absolutely crazy. That's going to be really cool. So Shane and Heather, please get video footage. It's a very selfish request. I'm really looking forward to that one flying. I really am indeed. Let's move on to topic number 3, which is a weekend of scheduled landings. Now, I did announce on Friday that this weekend was going to be a foam party, and we were not disappointed. There were many scheduled landings in those organic devices called trees, and those big nets which catch models called branches. And there is just too many to mention. So those of you which have posted photos and videos in the Faceballs group, we will take a look at those tomorrow. In fact, I need to make sure that I put it in my episode notes here as well. Foam party from the weekends. I've got that in my notes here. For tomorrow, we'll look at some of your special landings. Now, one of those did stand out very well this morning, and this is Sean from. I think Sean. I think you've probably moved into New Zealand now. I knew last time I noticed that you were in Australia, but you may be in New Zealand. So apologies, very close to each other. So anyway, he's based in the southern hemisphere, and what we can see here is a Texumo wing with a very special landing. Now, those of you which are not in the Facebook group, so for example Joe, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go and hit play here.
What's your plane doing there, honey? You better get it back out.
That's coming around.
Oh, Jesus. Was the GoPro filming?
Not anymore.
We missed the filming of that because little wee Wispy got bitten by an ant. And we had to console her, didn't we? Oh, poor Wispy. She says I have a very sore paw.
So that was Sean's special landing. I've not seen a landing like that before, so well done, Sir Sean. Absolutely brilliant. I hope the audio came out all right for you. Again, it was playing off my desktop, so apologies on that one. Oh, you're still packing. Brilliant. Okay, let's have a quick look. Just keeping a half on in chat. Brilliant. Right. Next topic. So let's have a quick look. Yeah, so very well done to those of you who've been and posted your unscheduled landings from the weekend. We will take a closer look at those tomorrow. We did have several tree landings yesterday. Somebody, mentioning no names, Lauren, managed to hit a post with her EF Extra, and we'll take a look at those photos tomorrow. So moving on to topic number 4, which was a day of maidens. Now, it's kind of spread over like 2 episodes, which we did live yesterday. The first one was the maiden-ish of the Flying Blade, which we didn't actually catch the maiden on live, but we did record it. And we did like a second maiden view so you could see it flying. The TravelerPlane we did record live, and I've also got HD footage of that. And the F22 as well, which is sat just over there, was maiden too. So what we're going to do, we're going to have a quick summary, and there is a distinct, oh my god, it flies brilliant model out of these 3. And so what we do, we'll start with the model number 1, which was the F22, and that was like the first proper EDF model I've ever flown, and I was genuinely actually impressed. It really does look, and it's the first jet fighter I've ever flown, and it really does look the part in the sky. It really does look absolutely brilliant. In fact, I think we did that one in the Might Not Fly episode. And it really does look the part in the sky. It's absolutely brilliant. The rolls on it are absolutely crazy in both direction. It doesn't have enough grunt in it to go like unlimited vertical, but it will go up and you can get a loop out of it. And it does sound really, really good. It's not as much as a screamer as I expected. Now, with all the positive notes said, and I do like the model in the sky, so that is a big point. On the flip side, is that I was only running it with a 1.3 3S A-Spec 60C Tonergy battery, and the flight times are about 3 minutes. I did manage to puff one of those batteries. That's the first time I've managed to like properly kill one of those batteries. Well, I say kill, it's got a bit of flex in it now, to say the least, compared to the other ones which I've had here for almost a year now. So it did make the battery puff out a bit. And I did try flying it with a 2.2 60C A-Spec battery as well. That also made it go rather puffy, and it did come down rather toasty as well. So it's a great model. It looks absolutely fantastic in the sky. It's not too noisy either. Pretty aerobatic considering the amount of thrust which it's got in it. But it really does chew batteries, like stupidly chew batteries. And the only thing which I can think of, the next step for that model, is Turbo Tyler, who was suggesting in the chat earlier this morning, is swap out the ESC from a 30 amp to maybe a 40 of 60 amp ESC, and also to run 2 of the little 1.3 3S battery packs in series, so that we can deliver more current to that EDF, because it was coming down, the battery was coming down warm, the ESC was coming down very warm as well. Again, severe lack of ventilation in that model. I will be 100% honest with you, I think the days or the time of that F22 in this hangar is numbered. Looks absolutely fantastic, flies really, really good. I like it, but I want more than 3 minutes worth of flight time, because it's not 3 minutes worth of crazy flight time, and it's not 3 minutes of like relaxed and chill out flight time. It's that kind of medium in the middle. It really needs to go to a home where someone who will appreciate the model more because they love fighter jets and they love EDFs, and that's not really me. So that one's days is numbered, very numbered here. So that one will probably be going, to be honest. But that's just because of the characteristics of the model and my feelings on that one. But besides that, really simple build. Really glad I did laminate that model. What you didn't really see in the live versions is that how wet that grass is well, and we just shook it and the water just poured off, and it was the right thing to laminate that model as well. Turbo Tyler, it is a bit of a big model to stick in the post, to be honest, because you can't really break it down. So sending it outside of the UK is probably not very realistic, to be brutally honest, TT. Peter has just asked a question in there. Matt, what was that unexpected parcel? I have no idea. Those of you which have been following along in the Faceballs group, there is a parcel coming to me from DHL today, and I have no idea what it is. I really don't know what it is. It doesn't match any of the tracking numbers which I've got here for open orders with different companies. So I've got no idea what it is. So I will post a video later this morning. Post a couple of pictures in the Facebook group of whatever that is in the parcel. I genuinely have no idea what they've been and sent me this morning. So good question as well. So just keeping half an eye on the chat. Right. Dang the stupid password. Quit being stubborn and buy the vampire mat. No, I'm digging my heels in. That sell was not right. That wasn't a sell on the Radjet, considering the sell beforehand. So I dug my heels in and dug my heels in for the vampire as well. Handbags and shoes. How do we get to handbags and shoes, Lauren? In there. Oh yeah, it could be handbag and shoes for the missus. Yeah, could be. Not fucking Lady springs to mind. And it could be a saddle for a horse. No, we've got too many saddles here as well. Alistair says about the Finwing. Yes, we will get to the TravelerPlane next. Now, I do have that in one of my tabs. And again, you can watch the live Maiden there. We did get it recorded. Now, it's on one of these bloody tabs somewhere. There it is. Right. The Finwing TravelerPlane. So, number one, let's go for its good points. I love the black molded EPP foam. I love the just rigidity of the foam. It's like the S800, and it also looks really cool. Also staying with the positive points as well, I was a little bit worried about the noise from the D2826-2200 kV motors with 6S props on. Normally you stick one of those on the back end of a flying wing and it screams. On the front end, wow, so quiet. Like, we could have flown that one first thing in the morning at like 7 o'clock in the morning and nobody would have noticed. Very quiet model, like super quiet. And you can, in the live version, you'll hear the motors and stuff. It's way quieter than that on the flight line. The microphone wasn't doing it justice. It was very quiet on the flight line. Now let's move to some of the negative points for the TravelerPlane, which is that the CG in the manual is complete bullshit, okay? And the reason why I say that, and you will be able to see that in the live recording, is that if I click on that video image there, is that you will see the suggested CG point is 4mm behind the hole underneath. That's where I set mine up. Now this is where I made a mistake, is I went and I looked at the CG and I didn't make it nose heavy for the Maiden. Okay, so learn from my mistake here. I did their CG perfectly and it was grossly tail heavy, and I mean grossly tail heavy. I ended up setting the CG here on the front ridge, and to be brutally honest, it should have been, it could do with being even more nose heavy as well. One thing which you wouldn't have really picked up from you would have picked up from the live chat for this model is in a straight line, it flies great. But when you apply aileron movement, is that it just wants to go up, and it just wants to stall in the turns. Now, we didn't apply that when we were recording it live. When we went on to fly it again, and I put some rudder mix in there. I put in 50% rudder in with the ailerons, and that excuse me, calmed it down a lot. Now, post-flight faults is that it could really do with being even more nose heavy. Now, to give you an idea for those of you which have bought one or are going to get one, is that I had a 2200 3S pack right up against the nose in the hole. I had a 1300 A-Spec 3S battery pack stuffed down the sides, and I had a run cam on the nose. So those of you which and maybe not going to put a camera on the front of your model, what you'll want to do is put two 2200 3S packs side by side in the nose, and bring the CG either on the forward piece of that little marker underneath, if not a little bit further. So you may need to add extra weight to the nose of the model, and you will definitely want to add in some rudder mixing into your model. Now, also, post-flight faults is that it would definitely appreciate with some differential thrust in there as well, so that the motors help the model turn. I did get disorientated a couple of times on the flight line. Now, that was a combination of two factors. Number one, the model being jet black, and number two, the sun was really bright as we came around the other way, so I just let it round. And the other thing is as well, is because the turns were so weird without the rudder mix in there, you just couldn't guess what it should have done, what a normal plane would have done. It wasn't doing it normally, so it was very peculiar in the sky. But adding the rudder mix in, that did cheer things up a lot. That did help it bear round right and left an awful lot, and definitely some differential thrust would definitely help this model. Now, that was a lot of negative points, or a lot of things which I learned from yesterday's Maiden. The other thing which I learned is that I really got to go and stick some FPV on this model, because it's super quiet. Even with two motors running, you don't need a lot of throttle for it to hold its speed. It's a very glidey model. You'll see me that in the live version, when it comes down to land, it just goes on forever. That caught me out twice. Brilliant. So for FPV, or somebody, if you want something which will fold up into a neat little space, absolutely brilliant. Genuinely impressed with it. So yeah, super impressed with the model. It does have a few intricacies. I've detailed those in the Facebook group, and the big one, well, the two big ones, CG, bring it forwards by a country mile, and number two, make sure you put some rudder mix in, and if you can, also some differential thrust as well. The model will be a lot better in the sky for that. So let's have a quick look at your chat. Let's have a quick look what's going on there. The Guinness, good morning, by the way, says, Matt, what 3D printer do you have? I just got my 3D CT Pashir clone ready on Saturday, and I've been printing some spare parts. Looking for new things to learn in 3D printing. I have it's a Delta printer. I bought it off AliExpress. I think it was about, I want to say $400 at the time. That was when things were an awful lot cheaper with the dollars before Brexit happened. Yeah, it was Great Scott. Look up Great Scott on YouTube and look back for his 3D printer episode, and that's the model which I've got, and I've also got the heated base as well. It's very good, but as you will know, that when it comes to 3D printing, all the hard work is actually in the calibration. Get the printer calibrated and you get fantastic prints. That's the main thing when it comes to 3D printing. If you can get it calibrated so it's printing flat for your bed, is that once that's done, that is happy days, and you will get decent quality prints, because the default settings in most 3D printers, and again, there'll be people who just overcomplicate things with temperatures and speeds and things like that. Don't get caught up in the technical details. Just purely focus upon the calibration. Make sure your calibration is spot on, and you will get half decent prints coming out of your model. And the other big tip for you is start with small stuff. Okay, so one of my favorite prints here for the 3D printer is some antenna mounts for FR Sky for the X8R and the L9R. They take about half an hour each, and they come out really, really well, and a super useful item. And again, if you've got kids or maybe grandkids or something like that, there's lots of little toys which you can print them off, like little Pikachus and things like that. Thingiverse is where you want to go. In short, that is the place in there as well. So yes, Alistair, that twin phasing hum, it does sound absolutely brilliant in the sky, and it's not loud, it's super quiet. There are a lot of good points to the model, but unfortunately, as we found out, it has some very peculiar flying characteristics which can be resolved with a little bit of technology in your transmitter. In short, okay. Oh, and the CG was fucking miles off as well. I think that was managed up. First swear word for today, probably second. Anyway, Mark is also been popped in there as well. Second that on calibration as well. So yeah, absolutely. By the way, maybe the Guinness, maybe the easiest way of explaining the calibration to you is when it comes to quadcopters. Many people will discuss about setting up rates and your PIDs and PID tuning. Okay, the reality is, when it comes to your quadcopter, it's just getting the modes right on your switches, and then making sure with your rates you have enough ability for the different actions which you want to go. And it's simple as that. You don't need to go overboard. Just get your rates set in. Make sure your switches are doing what they're supposed to be doing in whatever tool you're using, whether it be clean flight, beta flight, brace flight, whatever. Just get those set and then just go and enjoy it. You know, don't worry about the minor details afterwards. And I know I can hear quad pilots out here screaming, "Oh my God, mate, you've got to change your rates and must do PID tuning and stuff like that." The reality is, no, you don't. Not for somebody who's starting. They're just really more interested in make sure they've got the switches so they can flip between acro, ray, and horizon, for example, and they have enough authority for their yaw, pitch, and whatever role as well. So, right. Let's move on to the absolute shocker. Okay, that one there. Now, this is exactly the reason why I have learned the hard way that you hold off final judgment until you see the model fly in your hands, and you will see the model fly within the live version. I think I've got some recorded footage of it as well. The Flying Blade Wing, it was a slightly more expensive bit of foam. I did have those reservations. Is it completely overpriced? In fact, I'm going to go and dig it out for you a moment, because I'm sure it's... there she is. This little thing. That. It's an 800 wing, super thin profile. I will say it's expensive for $40. However, every little moan which I can give you about this model is completely surpassed by its flying capabilities. Absolutely fantastic. And Craig was super impressed with that. He says, I've got to have one. And again, Craig was so impressed with it. I said, look, hang on, here's a battery, here's the transmitter, go and rag it. And he was like, normally he'll say no, or something like that. And he went off and flew it. I think he genuinely absolutely loved it. Its glide on it is absolutely epic. Look, I'm only running a tiny little Emax 1806 2280 kV with a little 6x4 prop. I have a 12 amp ESC, that little red lump down there, a little 12 amp quadcopter ESC in there, and this thing was super aerobatic. The rolls on it, extremely axial. I mean, stupidly axial. And again, I sincerely hope I've got some decent flight line footage for you on that one. I am absolutely blown away by that one. So we had the F22, which was a bit of a mixed bag, and I've come away now from the flight line going, it's a nice model. I'm glad that I've owned it, but really it needs to go to a home with somebody who will appreciate it being an F22 and it being an EDF, and they will get enjoyment from it. Unfortunately, that's not me, and that's my personal opinion. The TravelerPlane, I like it, but it has issues. It needs better configuration and input in the transmitter to be able to cope with it. Like I said, biggest move now is to do differential thrust and set her up for FPV. But on the flip side, brilliant, it closes down to a small pad, and again I could chuck it in the IKEA bag to underneath the arm to carry 8 models, one of the 8 models which I carried to the flight line. There are a lot of good points to it, but it does have a few challenges with it. But the one, like the superstar for yesterday, was the Flying Blade. Absolutely loved it. I'm going to do a separate episode on it because it did so well yesterday, absolutely so well, and it wasn't just me who enjoyed that model, it was also Craig as well. So that was my superstar from the flight line. Big tip for you, one thing which we both worked out is that I shouldn't put stripes on the top and bottom. That did catch Craig out yesterday with orientation, and I miscounted the rolls. I think I did 14 rolls, and I actually did 14 and a half because it spanned that fast with trying to count it in my head. And what I should have done was done the bottom part of the wing pure red, so that it would have been stood out from the top, so I would have caught it better at range and wouldn't have got disorientated on that extra half turn or roll in the sky. We were running it with a 1.3 3S pack. We also flew it with a little 850 pack as well. Very economical in the sky, and we had, I think, with like 12-minute flights out of it and stuff like that. Absolutely brilliant. Yesterday, that was the overall winner. That little Flying Blade, absolutely brilliant. It's going to be ace for FPV, and it will also be great just as a line of sight model. And that's all we did fly that one yesterday, was a lot of line of sight, and there was no FPV on it. Thoroughly enjoyable. Let's have a quick look. Brian says, how does that compare to the Texumo? What I would say, the Texumo is a fantastic model. Absolutely love mine. There's 2 set up there on the shelf. The thing is that with a Texumo, because the wing is so deep and the cord is so thick, is that I have to seriously overpower my Texumo to make it fly fast. There is, I think Sir Bruce explained this one, you have to add like a disproportionate or exponential amount of thrust on the back to make it go that faster. This one, because the wing is so thin, okay, even with a tiny little motor, it was keeping up, if not surpassing Craig's bigger, overpowered model, which we were flying around with. On the flip side, the Texumo is more robust. You will notice that there are some crinkles in the nose where I stuffed it, so I am super glad that I put that much carbon fibre in the bottom, and I'm also chuffed that I put these diagonal braces in there as well to give it some more rigidity. So how does it compare to the Texumo? This one, more economical on batteries, to be brutally honest, faster as well. Landed. They're both great models. In short, I really like that one, and I'm super glad that we did do that paint job, and I'm super glad that we also did laminate it as well. And those of you which are thinking about getting one, laminate it as well. It makes it much more stiffer, and do put too much carbon fibre in it as well. Let's have a quick look at your chat as well. Right, I'm trying to keep an idea on what's going on in the chat. I'll have a look afterwards. Like I said, if you've got any comments which I've missed, remember you can post those underneath this episode, or maybe over in the Faceables group. So let me just quickly look at my comments for what we spoke about. Yeah, F22, we've covered that. TravelerPlane, we've covered that. Flying Blade, yeah, what a corker. Took off straight as a die. Brilliant. Just give it plenty of welly and it just tracks straight off. Super straight. No twitchiness, which I'm sure you've seen with other models before, and they can be twitchy on launches. No, just straight off in the sky. It was very nice. In fact, put it this way, I was doing figures of 8s and I was trying to dip the wingtip in the field, and I did. It was absolutely brilliant. I think I don't know if you saw it live, but I did it while we were doing the live session, and I was just trying to dip the wingtips in the field as we were going through, and it was extremely stable. One big point actually is that you need plenty of expo in the elevator or pitch axis. because it is it's sensitive to that. I'm not going to say because it's like because it was tail heavy. It was definitely nose heavy. You just need plenty of expo in the pitch axis because, well, put it this way, loops are fantastic to say the least. So that's one thing to be wary of it. And what else to put on there? Yeah, super fast, even with my tiny 1806-22 80 kV motor. It was super fast. It was great fun and great like efficiency in the sky. Loved it. So on that note, it is time for me to wrap up. Actually, Colin says, Matt, what do you think of that? Sorry, it's one of the last comments in there. Sonic 64. It doesn't ring a bell. So we have a quick look. Sonic 64. I'll have a nose when Hobby King's website speeds up. Overpriced. Colin, that is my honest answer. In fact, let me just put this on the screen so you can see what I can see. That is the Sonic 64. That's £100 for a wing. There are many other models which you can buy for that price range, which would be, I don't know, you could have an FG36, for example. There are models which you can buy for half the price or less than half the price and which are just as much fun. That said, if EDFs are your thing, I'm sure it flies fantastic. But however, to be brutally honest, I will never buy one for £100, which is closer to £100 than what it is 90 quid. So no, not one for me, I'm afraid. Right, it's time for us to wrap up, summarise what we've been and covered today. So number one, live from the flight line. There's 3 episodes literally recorded live from the flight line. I've been personally back and watched them last night. I actually really enjoyed that. Like I said, there's a couple of things which I've learned from doing that, like make sure it's public, for example, and a few other little things which I've picked up to improve it for the next time. But I think for the first time, losing our live from the flight line virginity is that it did work very well. And I've put links to those 3 episodes in the video description. One of them, we were live for an hour and 19 minutes. Absolutely brilliant. Moving on, topic number 2 was Shane and Heather's 60 Treppy or what? Really like that. And Shane and Heather, please get us video footage when you get that one in the sky. It's going to be really curious to see what that one looks like from the ground with the red and blue. That is very, very cool indeed. Topic number 3 was a weekend of unscheduled landings. I did just pick out on Sean's landing, which I'll just quickly rewind there. You tried doing that on purpose. Completely impossible. So very well done, Sean. Yeah, brilliant. But we'll look at your unscheduled landings tomorrow. Remember, if you've had an unscheduled landing, this weekend was a foam party. So do post your pictures over in the Facebook group. Shameless plug for the Faceballs group. It's called Rag the Nuts Off. There's a link to that in the video description. Click the join button in the top right hand corner and one of us will pick up your request later this morning. And topic number 4 was the summary of the Maidens. And very quickly, F22 looks fantastic. Choose batteries, really not for me. It'll find a new home eventually, but I've already earmarked it. It's not a model for me, but don't let that detract from the model. It flies great, really aerobatic to a degree. I kind of like it, but it's really not for me. So it's going. In short, the TravelerPlane. A lot of positive points, couple of negatives. I'm sure those of you which have seen my post in the Facebook group is that follow those tips and you'll have a very good maiden. Biggest one, make sure you stick some rudder in it, rudder mix in it, and make sure it's nose heavy on the front edge, because I reckon that manual is completely wrong, and whoever said that it flies fine on the middle piece, not right. It's definitely not right. And the other one, summary of the Maidens, the Flying Blade wing. It is expensive at $40 for a very, well, not even, I'm going to retract that statement. I'm going to go and buy another one. I really like it, so use your own marker on it. And Craig loved it as well. Absolutely love that little model. It's going to be really good fun, whether you're going to be using it for line of sight or you're going to FPV it. Genuinely impressed with that model. So I'm glad to be able to say that to you. That's why we hold off final judgment until we get them in the sky, because no matter what the grumbles are beforehand, is that it really depends on how they fly in the sky. That's why the F22 is going to go on and find a new home. It's because it does fly really well, but it has very short flight time, so it needs to go to somebody who will appreciate that it's an F22, because it means something special to them and they like EDFs. For me, not my cup of tea. So Flying Blade, absolutely. TravelerPlane needs some work. So it is time for me to wrap up. I would like to thank everybody who has been here on the live version as well. I have tried to keep an eye on the chat as well. If I've missed your question, like I said, don't take it personally. Just let me know either in the Facebook group or underneath this episode. On that note, if it is your first time here for an RC coffee chat, or maybe you're watching the recorded version, we generally run these every single morning. If you would like to join in with tomorrow's or the day after that, underneath this video where it says my name, it says Matthew Ogboard, and hi, I'm Matt, by the way. If you click on the subscribe button, if you'd like to get notified, press the little bell icon and YouTube will let you know the next time an episode has been published live or been published on the YouTube channel. If you have enjoyed today's RC Coffee Chat, do me a favour, press the thumbs up button underneath this video. It helps other people find this episode. And on that note, I would like to say thank you. Thank you to you for joining me here on a sunny Monday morning here in the United Kingdom. And we're just chatting about models and fun from the weekend. And on that note, it's time for me to go. Thank you ever so much for watching today, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Cheerios!